The young lady from Macau came to Korea for plastic surgery. The surgeon was the most famous plastic surgeon in Korea named Jung Woo. Jung Woo was very confident, and the preoperative preparations went very smoothly. Unexpectedly, during the surgery, the young lady suddenly bled profusely and her heart stopped. Jung Woo immediately performed cardiac arrest and called an ambulance. Unfortunately, it was too late. The young lady's life ended on the operating table. Before this incident, Jung Woo was the most famous plastic surgeon sought after by everyone. He graduated from the most famous medical school in Korea. Even though he was young, he had already received an honorary award from the minister. Jung Woo could not have imagined that his career would be ruined on the operating table. Jung Woo was very confused because he did not commit any medical errors during the surgery for the young lady. But the incident suddenly happened. After the incident, Jung Woo immediately investigated the operating room camera. Unexpectedly, the operating room camera malfunctioned when the incident occurred. The police suspected that Jung Woo intentionally deleted the video. Jung Woo could not explain. Not only that, he was also reported on the news. The family of the young lady even sued Jung Woo in court. Through investigation, anticoagulants were found in the young lady's body. The police suspected that Jung Woo had injected her with this drug during the surgery, which was why the young lady lost so much blood and died. Therefore, in court, the prosecutor prosecuted Jung Woo for causing death. Jung Woo explained that his clinic had never ordered anticoagulants. The prosecutor brought out important evidence again. They found a bottle of anticoagulants in the trash can at Jung Woo's clinic. Furthermore, they also checked his fingerprints on the bottle. The evidence was so clear that Jung Woo could not deny it. After this incident happened, Jung Woo had to compensate all parties for damages, from breach of advertising contracts to severance pay for employees. He owed a total of 10 billion won. Jung Woo was extremely desperate. Now his life could only be described as a failure. Another doctor who had also entered despair like Jung Woo was Han Nol. Han Nol was a surgeon at a hospital. No one in the hospital worked harder than her. She worked 17 hours a day. She was given the surgeries that her seniors didn't want to do. Han Nol stayed up all night to do the things her colleagues didn't want to do. But even so, Han Nol was still the most pitiful doctor in the hospital. It was very difficult for her to have a chance to go home to rest. Her mother wanted to make her some delicious food, but she was called to work overtime at the hospital. It was clear that she had done nothing wrong, but she was scolded by her senior all day. Every day, she apologized more than she did during the surgery. The senior didn't know right from wrong, so he vented his anger on Han Nol about his thesis being rejected and not being promoted. The friend asked Han Nol out to eat. Han Nol endured her fever and stomachache and ran to the meeting place. But because she stayed up all night working, she fainted on the street. After the surgery, Han Nol discovered that she had acute cholecystitis. Life like this was bleak and without motivation. After Han Nol had her gallbladder removed, she went to see a psychiatrist. At that time, before she fainted on the street, a truck rushed towards her. At that time, Han Nol had the thought of giving up on her life. Fortunately, the truck stopped in time. The doctor judged that Han Nol was depressed. Han Nol was a little surprised. She thought she was considered strong. The doctor prescribed medicine for Han Nol. Han Nol still couldn't accept the truth. Even though the doctor explained, she still refused to accept the truth that she was depressed. Han Nol bought beer, wanting to get drunk to forget her sadness, so she took the beer to the rooftop. On the rooftop, Han Nol met a man. When she got closer, she discovered that this man was the plastic surgeon who had just been in a scandal. Jung Woo was also very surprised because Han Nol and he were high school classmates. Not only that, the two were also competitors. That was many years ago. In the high school entrance exam, Han Nol won first place nationwide. She was as serious back then as she is now. To save time, she read books while running to school every day. She coordinated the clothes she needed to wear for the whole week and ate her lunch in 7 minutes. She studied for 17 hours every day before going to bed. Even when her relatives were arguing, Han Nol could still study without any problems. The mother decided to move to Seoul for Han Nol's future. Han Nol also transferred schools because of that. But on the first day of moving, Han Nol met her biggest rival in life. Jung Woo was like Han Nol. He also ranked first in the class promotion exam. As soon as they met, Han Nol and Jung Woo looked at each other provocatively. The teacher gave a question, and the two solved it at the same time. Jung Woo hurriedly raised his hand, but Han Nol said the answer first. In order to keep her first place, Han Nol was immersed in books. She absolutely would not let Jung Woo come to her desk and block her way. The two of them were racing each other to see who would get to class first, so they raced on the way to school. Jung Woo saw Han Nol jogging to school every day, so he used a skateboard to go to school every day. Jung Woo saw Han Nol eating a packet of coffee powder every day, so he ate 2 packets to win. After graduation, they went their separate ways. Han Nol didn't want to see Jung Woo anymore. Unexpectedly, Jung Woo appeared at her house. Jung Woo was once a genius plastic surgeon, so he was very surprised. He couldn't believe that the house he rented after his downfall was actually his old friend Han Nol's attic. After confirming that the other person was his old rival, both of them were extremely surprised. The two of them absolutely could not forget the embarrassing old stories from high school. Ever since Han Nol moved to Seoul and became Jung Woo's classmate. Seeing Han Nol's serious study, Jung Woo's friends were worried about him. They warned Jung Woo to be careful, saying that he would be defeated by Han Nol in this competition. There were also other classmates who bet on these two people being first place. Jongwoo said it was impossible, but his legs were already shaking. Then he bit his nails furiously. His friends all saw through it. Didn't expect their warnings to come true. The teacher handed out the midterm exam results. Jongwoo looked at his test scores, but he lost to Hanol. He was ranked second in the whole school. So Jongwoo sat down sadly on the ground. Jongwoo was determined to fight back in order to regain his dignity. As long as Hanol did things to study hard, Jongwoo would follow suit. And that's when their competition for achievements began. When mentioning the past, Hanol was extremely confused. She judged that Jongwoo's self-esteem was too high, so he definitely wouldn't stay at her house for long. Indeed, Hanol had guessed Jongwoo's thoughts. In order to move out quickly, Jongwoo intended to violate the rental contract. But when he looked back, he realized that if he unilaterally canceled the contract, he wouldn't be able to get his deposit back. This made Jongwoo extremely confused. There was no other way but for Jongwoo to take the initiative to meet Hanol. He asked her to be patient. Hanol seemed indifferent. She didn't care whether Jongwoo was at her house or not. This made Jongwoo even more upset than asking him to move out. Jongwoo didn't know what to do for a moment, so he told Hanol about his debts. After deducting the payments he had already paid, he still owed 3.7 billion won. Hanol was a little surprised, so she leaned over to listen. Jongwoo thought that Hanol would sympathize with him a little. Unexpectedly, before he could finish telling his tragic story, Hanol yawned continuously. Jongwoo was extremely upset. In order to avoid the inconvenience of being near Hanol, Jongwoo planned to change to another rental place. The room was leaking because it had rained all night. Because there was still an unfinished lawsuit, the other landlords all refused to rent to Jongwoo. Jongwoo went to a hospital to find a friend. In the surgery of this lawsuit, the anesthesiologist in the group was temporarily hired by Jongwoo. Jongwoo asked his friend to help him. He believed that this person could become the breakthrough point to clear his name. Hanol worked at this hospital. Jongwoo chased after her and teased her. Hanol refused to give up, and the two of them started arguing with each other. In the end, Jongwoo did not talk back to Hanol. Jongwoo changed his tone again. He mentioned Hanol's current success. He thought that with all her efforts, she would definitely be very famous by now. Hanol did not care. Only she knew that compared to Jongwoo's situation, she was not much better. The senior's skills were terrible, but he was good at passing the buck. All day he just blamed Hanol for his mistakes. One day, the CEO's daughter needed a cesarean section. The senior knew that his skills were not good, so he dragged Hanol into the operating room. But during the surgery, the senior pressed the blood vessels several times without success. He also said that the patient's blood vessels were too thin. In the end, Hanol had to do it herself. She inserted one needle and it was done. After the surgery, Hanol went to see a psychiatrist. Recently, she felt that her chest was feeling tight and uncomfortable. The doctor explained that although depression is a mental illness, it will lead to a series of physiological problems. The doctor advised Hanol not to hurt her body and mind. When she returned to the hospital, the CEO scolded the director. Although her daughter had a successful cesarean section, there were several wounds on her daughter's arm from the needle insertion. Hanol could not believe that the senior dared to push all the responsibility onto her and said that she had ruptured the patient's blood vessels. Hanol felt extremely helpless. The senior continued to ask Hanol to take all the responsibility and even told her to kneel down and apologize to the CEO. This time, Hanol was furious and didn't want to give in to the senior anymore. The senior was so angry that he wanted to hit Hanol, but Hanol quickly kicked the senior to the ground. After that, Hanol resigned. The friend was worried that if Hanol argued with the senior, other hospitals would not accept her in the future. Hanol's mother heard this. She couldn't believe that her daughter, who had worked so hard to raise, would act like this. Hanol explained to her mother and even said that she had depression. Her mother thought that the fault lay with Hanol. She felt that the daughter she had raised so hard could not possibly have a mental illness. The pressure from her mother made Hanol even more upset. Hanol left heartbroken, and the argument between mother and daughter was seen by Jongwoo. Jongwoo was a little upset. He thought that if Hanol tried her best, she would live a good life. At night, Jongwoo happened to meet Hanol. He hesitated for a moment and then invited Hanol to drink with him. Hanol agreed, but she wanted to drink at least 3 bottles. It was cold, so Jongwoo took off his coat and put it on Hanol. After that, both of them were a little embarrassed by this action. After Jongwoo reminded Hanol to only wear a surgical gown when going out, she immediately zipped up her coat. The two of them found a place where no one was drinking. Even though they were drinking, they still had to compete with each other. Hanol willingly admitted defeat. She thought Jongwoo was more pitiful than her. At least she had taken the initiative to resign, while Jongwoo was the one who was framed. He looked at Hanol and asked her why she thought he was framed. Hanol honestly said that although Jongwoo had a childish personality, he was not the type of person who would do bad things and avoid admitting it. Jongwoo was moved to tears after hearing this. Jongwoo mentioned Hanol's depression. Hanol was immersed in sadness. She thought that life would be successful if she tried and made an effort, but reality was not like that. She graduated first in medical school, and now she had become like this. The 2 top students in the country that year drank together and went for a walk together. Jongwoo said that since high school he had a wish, which was to flick Hanol's forehead. Hanol firmly suggested that they should flick each other's foreheads. Han-il flicked first. Jong-woo leaned over, but Han-il used too much force, causing Jong-woo to fall to the ground. When it was Jong-woo's turn, Han-il received a text message from her mother. Her mother had discovered antidepressants in her room. Finally, her mother understood her suffering. So the mother sent a message saying that compared to her successful daughter, she wanted Han-il to be healthier. Her understanding made Han-il cry. Jong-woo saw Han-il suddenly burst into tears. He couldn't help but shed tears too. In the dark, the two of them cried and hugged each other. At least at this time, the other person's hug was really warm. The next day, when they met, they were both shy, so they promised not to see each other again. The mother hoped that Han-il would quickly get rid of her depression, so she spent the whole day bringing medicine and cheering Han-il up. The family prepared surprises and sumptuous meals for Han-il. Although it was well-intentioned, this tight arrangement put even more pressure on Han-il. Jong-woo was preparing for the second trial. Unfortunately, the lawyer couldn't find the reason why the medicine bottle appeared in the clinic and couldn't find any video evidence that worked. Fortunately, the anesthesiologist who had refused to participate in the investigation suddenly agreed to testify in court. Although Jong-woo found it very strange, he still had a chance. That same night, a mysterious person broke the attic window and rushed in. Han-il's younger brother found out and reported it to Jong-woo in time. Jong-woo notified the police, but found nothing missing. Jong-woo looked at the broken window and felt very upset. Suddenly, Han-il told Jong-woo to sleep at her house tonight. Jong-woo didn't want to lose face. Han-il also knew that Jong-woo's friends had not contacted him since he got involved in the lawsuit. Han-il said that Jong-woo should temporarily forget about their confrontation from school. At least he had to sleep in a place that could protect him from the rain and wind tonight. Jong-woo wanted to thank Han-il for letting him stay. He invited her to eat ice cream under the night sky, and the two of them sat at the door of the convenience store to enjoy the breeze and chat. An ambulance passes by. Han-il felt very sad. If she hadn't resigned in anger, she would have shown in the operating room. Jong-woo looked at her. This was the first time Han-il had rested since kindergarten. Jong-woo asked Han-il if she didn't want to do anything other than surgery. Jong-woo decided to let Han-il enjoy worldly pleasures, so he took her out to play. First, they ate tteokbokki. Jong-woo thought that spicy food could relieve stress. Han-il said some jargon while eating that spicy food could stimulate the taste buds. Then they went to the game area. Jong-woo taught Han-il how to play Russian block puzzle. Unexpectedly, Han-il used math to guess. She was even better than Jong-woo. Finally, they sang. Unexpectedly, Han-il sang a chorus song solemnly. She didn't know any of the classical and popular songs of the time. Jong-woo was extremely sad. Han-il explained that she spent all her time studying that year, so she didn't have any chance to listen to relaxing music. But this time, Han-il took the initiative to ask to play the dance machine. This was also a hobby she had wanted to play, but had to restrain herself. Tonight, Jong-woo was there, so Han-il danced wildly. She was so happy that she laughed out loud. For a moment, it was as if the two of them were wearing uniforms back to high school, as if they had never regretted that long period of youth. After having fun, Han-il thanked Jong-woo. She really had fun tonight. Thinking back to how she had focused on her studies a lot before, Han-il let out a sigh. She said that she should learn to enjoy life. Han-il felt very warm. It seemed that from the beginning to the end, Jong-woo was the only person who didn't put pressure on her and didn't push her to achieve results. And Jong-woo thought about Han-il's trust in him, along with her comfort and encouragement. Jong-woo changed his view of Han-il. The next day, Han-il angrily showed Jong-woo her severance pay, which was much less than she should have. It was because her senior deliberately took her salary. Han-il wanted to find her senior to demand justice, but Jong-woo stopped her. The medical field was not large, so if Han-il angered her senior again, he was afraid that she would really not be able to work in this field anymore. Han-il listened to his advice. She found two former colleagues who had also been cheated of their salaries and hoped to cooperate with them to protest. Unexpectedly, her colleagues chose to remain silent because they were afraid of the senior, and even told Han-il not to come to them again. Jong-woo looked at the glass door that Han-il had found someone to fix. He decided to buy some fruit to give to her house. Maybe he would run into Han-il. Unexpectedly, as soon as he bought the fruit and brought it to the door, he heard Han-il's younger brother and mother talking. Han-il's younger brother already knew about Jong-woo's lawsuit. Han-il's younger brother suspected that Jong-woo was the mastermind behind the patient's death, so he was worried that the family would be implicated because they provided a place for Jong-woo to stay. Hearing this, Jong-woo silently picked up the fruit bag and left. At this time, Han-il returned. She saw that Jong-woo was acting strangely, so she asked him. Jong-woo was in front of Han-il, so he didn't reveal his thoughts, but instead told Han-il to stay away from him. Given his current situation, he probably shouldn't drag innocent people into it. After returning home, Mother reminded Han-il to be careful with Jong-woo. Only then did Han-il realize what had happened. Han-il wanted to send a message to comfort Jong-woo, but after writing it, she discovered that she didn't have Jong-woo's phone number. The lawyer called Jong-woo to inform him that the anesthesiologist who had agreed to testify earlier had now refused to appear in court. Jong-woo couldn't understand, so he immediately ran to the hospital where the anesthesiologist worked to find. But he learned that the anesthesiologist had resigned. Jong-woo guessed that the anesthesiologist wanted to harm him, so this Both people agreed and then didn't keep word. Jong-woo thought about the upcoming second trial, and he could only drink to drown his sorrows. It seemed that Jong-woo couldn't win this trial. No matter what, the second trial finally came. Because the witness was absent, the prosecutor assumed that the other side was afraid of being accused of protecting the defendant. The defense attorney tried to argue the trial would be postponed until next time. Jong-woo lost all hope. Unexpectedly, Han-ol suddenly appeared, and she also brought documents that could prove Jong-woo's innocence. It turned out that Han-ol had stayed up all night last night to study the thesis. She discovered that there were similar cases abroad. In this case, the victim had taken a large amount of anticoagulant before the surgery, which resulted in heavy bleeding and death. However, this was the victim's spontaneous action and had nothing to do with the surgeon. Unfortunately, the evidence was not submitted in advance, and the judge ruled that it could not be used. Jong-woo could only wait until the third trial to prove his innocence. After leaving the court, many reporters surrounded Jong-woo, but Jong-woo was only concerned about Han-ol. Seeing Han-ol fall, Jong-woo immediately ran to help her up. Then he held her hand and left the group of reporters. Han-ol blamed herself for not finding the evidence earlier, but what Jong-woo cared about was Han-ol's wound. To treat her wound, Jong-woo took her to his closed clinic and carefully applied medicine to her. At the same time, he thanked her. Han-ol, in order to comfort Jong-woo, suggested that they continue to hang out tonight. Jong-woo suggested that they go watch the sunrise. Han-ol really liked the sight of the sun rising, but when they got to the beach, they discovered that the weather was terrible today, with dark clouds filling the sky. Jong-woo smiled calmly and said that it was okay. At least this was a moment they would cherish. Han-ol smiled. Having lived together for a few days, she had just discovered that Jong-woo was so warm. The beach was damp, and the two of them were still waiting for the sun. They both believed that the sun would rise one day, and that their lives would eventually get out of the impasse. After watching the sea, the two of them went out to eat together. Jong-woo borrowed a charger for Han-ol, and when he returned, he found that Han-ol had fallen asleep, leaning against the wall. Han-ol had not slept well for several nights. In order to help Jong-woo find the thesis that would help him change the situation of the lawsuit, Jong-woo quietly went to negotiate with the landlady to let Han-ol sleep here for a while. The landlady immediately agreed. Jong-woo was still warm like that. Because he was afraid of waking Han-ol, Jong-woo quietly read his thesis. Han-ol slept a little cold, so Jong-woo took his coat to cover her. Unexpectedly, Han-ol suddenly fell into Jong-woo's arms. At first, Jong-woo shyly avoided her, but then he covered her with his coat. Finally, he gently looked at Han-ol lying on his lap. After waking up and eating, Jong-woo received a phone call. His clinic had been sold. Thanks to that, he breathed a sigh of relief. Han-ol thought that Jong-woo must have had a hard time paying off his debt during this time. Jong-woo sincerely said that it would be a lie to say that it wasn't hard, but at the same time he was very happy. He was glad that he could use the remaining money to help those who suffered losses live well. Han-ol smiled, thinking that Jong-woo was still as warm as ever. Han-ol's mother thought that Han-ol had gone out to play with friends, but the friends suddenly came to the house and explained that Han-ol had not gone with her. Han-ol's mother was extremely worried. At this time, Han-ol and Jong-woo returned home. Han-ol's friend immediately spoke up and said that Jong-woo was Han-ol's first love. When Jong-woo was alone, he thought about this sentence again. He even wished that he was Han-ol's first love. Han-ol knocked on the door. Jong-woo immediately panicked and fixed his clothes and hair. Han-ol handed over the documents she had found to Jong-woo. Jong-woo saw this and started to feel excited. Han-ol coughed once, and Jong-woo worriedly asked her. He asked Han-ol to go to the rooftop to drink coffee. Meanwhile, Han-ol shyly said that she wanted to go for a walk with him. Jong-woo thought that Han-ol also had feelings for him. Back home, Jong-woo looked in the mirror and chose each outfit. He had already treated tonight's walk as a date. Jong-woo was afraid of being recognized, so he put on his hat. Han-ol wanted to help him take it off. During the struggle, Han-ol almost fell. Jong-woo immediately caught her and pulled her into his arms. At that moment, an unconcealable feeling was born. Jong-woo chose clothes for Han-ol. Han-ol looked extremely beautiful in her new clothes. Jong-woo was momentarily infatuated with Han-ol. Han-ol mentioned the incident where Jong-woo helped her up earlier. Han-ol also said that if it had been before, Jong-woo would have just let her fall to the ground. It turned out that in high school, there was a time when the fan in the classroom was too noisy. In order to have a quiet study environment, Han-ol stood on the table and fanned herself and almost fell to the ground. At that moment, Jong-woo hugged Han-ol. The classmates were noisily teasing the two of them to date. Jong-woo was embarrassed, so he let go of Han-ol, causing her to fall to the ground. As a result, Han-ol broke her wrist. After breaking her arm, Han-ol still studied hard as usual. Her hands couldn't write, so she used her mouth to bite the pen to write. But because of that, her study progress was slowed down. Jong-woo was not an irresponsible person. After Han-ol broke her arm, he helped her pick up the books that had fallen on the ground and helped her write. He also got the teacher's permission. Then he helped Han-ol record a video of teacher teaching. Thinking back to the past, Han-ol sighed that Jong-woo was really kind. Even though he had lost everything, he still thought of others first. She believed that Jong-woo like this would not do anything against his conscience. Jong-woo was once again touched. Han-ol was a bit embarrassed and said that she had something to say. Jong-woo's heart started to beat erratically quickly. He thought to himself that Hanol definitely wanted to confess to him. Jong-woo finished getting ready and looked at Hanol nervously. Unexpectedly, Hanol said that she was going on a blind date. Jong-woo was stunned when he heard that. Hanol explained that she was going shopping today to go on a blind date. She pulled Jong-woo over to ask for his opinion on aesthetics of male. Jong-woo felt extremely embarrassed. Hanol didn't realize his thoughts at all. She continued to explain that her friend was joke that Jong-woo was her first love. Moreover, she was really looking forward to the blind date tomorrow. Jong-woo went home sadly. Actually, he didn't expect the first love to be just a misunderstanding. The next morning, Hanol put on new clothes and prepared to go out. Hanol was happy and carefree, but Jong-woo was clearly jealous. He didn't want Hanol to be taken away by another man. Hanol returned from her blind date, but Jong-woo was sad and ignored her. Hanol told Jong-woo that the blind date didn't go well, and the other person was divorced and had a child. The two didn't get along. Seeing that, Jong-woo was very happy. Hanol was in a bad mood, so she went to Jong-woo to drink beer. The two of them drank and crushed the beer cans, arguing about how miserable their lives were. Hanol asked Jong-woo if she didn't look depressed. Jong-woo replied that there was nothing wrong with being depressed. Who said that everyone had to live brightly and openly? Jong-woo encouraged Hanol that everything would be fine. After the two of them drank beer, Jong-woo took out a bottle of whiskey that had been stored in the house for a long time. It was raining at this time. Hanol was drunk and leaned her head on Jong-woo's shoulder to sleep. Jong-woo reached out to touch Hanol, pulled his hand back. He wanted to get a little closer to Hanol, but in his current state, being too close to her would cause trouble for her. The next morning, Hanol received a phone call for an interview from the hospital. Last night, when she was drunk, Jong-woo encouraged her to work on her CV online. Hanol was drunk and sent her CV in a daze. The hospital was a bit far away, so Hanol wasn't ready yet. But with Jong-woo's comfort, Hanol confidently went to the interview. After the shaking train ride, Hanol arrived at the small town where the hospital was. Unexpectedly, she received a notice from the hospital saying that she didn't need to go to the interview anymore. It turned out that the hospital had found out about Hanel's previous job. They knew that she had beaten her senior, so they didn't dare to accept her as a doctor. Hanel sadly called Jong-woo to tell him that she felt that she had been living a wrong life. Unexpectedly, Jong-woo appeared behind her. It turned out that a few hours ago, the senior had come to find Jong-woo. The senior wanted to hear about Hanel. After Jong-woo found out that the senior had accidentally said something unfavorable to Hanel, Jong-woo worriedly ran over. At the train station, Jong-woo looked at Hanel gently. When she was in high school, she only thought that Jong-woo was very childish and didn't understand why the girls liked Jong-woo so much. Jong-woo had the same thought. There were many boys in the school who liked Hanel. They thought she was very pretty, and every time Jong-woo heard that, he wanted to fight with his friends. But now, because of Jong-woo's appearance, Hanel felt very warm. Because Hanel was by her side, Jong-woo felt very secure. The two gradually realized that they might have feelings for each other. Hanel asked Jong-woo why he ran to such a faraway place. Jong-woo was a bit panicked, so he lied that he came to travel. Hanel believed it was true, so she took Jong-woo on a trip there for a day. The weather was beautiful, and the two of them raced bicycles in the middle of a field. The loser would have their forehead flicked. Because Hanel lost, she turned her forehead over. Jong-woo was absent-minded because the two of them were too close to each other. The atmosphere was awkward. Jong-woo gently flicked Hanel's forehead. His movements were too gentle. Jong-woo took a beautiful photo of Hanel, which was her first travel photo. Jong-woo enlarged the photo of him and Hanel. He was looking intently when Hanel discovered him. Jong-woo said that he was helping her see if there was any place that needed plastic surgery. Although the interview did not go well, Hanel was still very relieved. Jong-woo believes that Hanel will get to a better place. The last bus is about to leave. The two of them arrive at the bus station, but coincidentally see an old man falling ill. Hanel runs to help. She tells Jong-woo to get a defibrillator. The two of them work together to save the old man, so there is no danger for the time being. Because of saving the old man, the two of them missed the last train. Hanel suggests renting a hotel. Jong-woo instinctively pulls his shirt. It just so happens that the hotel has exactly 2 rooms left, but one of them needs to be cleaned for an hour before it can be used. Hanel has no choice but to share a room with Jong-woo for an hour. As soon as they enter the room, the two of them start to feel embarrassed. Hanel sits on the edge of the bed and tells Jong-woo to sit down too. Unexpectedly, Jong-woo sits right in Hanel's arms. The two of them stand up in embarrassment. Hanel immediately explains that she has no other thoughts about Jong-woo. Jong-woo immediately replied that if Hanel had any bad thoughts towards him, he would cut ties with her. Hanel went outside to answer the phone. The friend who knew Jong-woo had gone to comfort Hanel without hesitation, confirmed that Jong-woo definitely had feelings for her. Hanel's ears turned red when she heard that. Jong-woo was uneasy again. When he was alone in the room, he dreamed of the failed surgery. A moment later, the next room was cleaned. Hanel was about to go over there when Jong-woo grabbed her arm again. He wished Hanel would stay with him. Hanel's heart started to flutter again. A man and a woman were sharing a room, so Hanel thought Jong-woo wanted to do something. Unexpectedly, he just wanted to play cards with her. With Hanel by his side, Jong-woo immediately became full of life. Hanel was better. She won against him the first time she played. Jong-woo was like a child, immersed in the game, but he didn't notice Hanul sitting opposite her, her eyes filled with affection. The next day, the two of them were in the train going home. Hanul heard her mother and younger brother talking about her when she got home. Her family was sure that her interview was not going well. Hanul quietly ran away. Jongwoo knew that Hanul hadn't come home yet, so he called her. Hanul lied that she was home, but Jongwoo clearly heard the sound of a tile-matching game on the other end of the phone. Jongwoo quickly ran over. He gently pinched Hanul's ear. Hanul didn't say why she didn't come home. Jongwoo didn't ask much and sat down to play with Hanul. After playing, Jongwoo offered to take Hanul home. Hanul changed the subject again. She still wanted to play a little more. Jongwoo thought of a good place, which was their old high school. The school hadn't changed at all. The two of them went to the familiar classroom. Jongwoo playfully imitated Hanul's appearance of ignoring her studies. Hanul also asked Jongwoo what he wanted to do the most, if he could go back to his student days. Jongwoo couldn't think of an answer for a moment. He asked Hanul back. Hanul mentioned the university entrance exam that year. That was the most important exam and also the only one she failed. Hanul explained that on the day of the exam, her body felt uncomfortable. Actually, on the day of the exam, Hanul knew she couldn't get into the school she wanted. Since she was little, Hanul had lived with her family's expectations. Over time, these expectations gradually turned into invisible pressure, so Hanul didn't dare to go home and tell her family that she failed. Hearing that, Jongwoo was even more certain that Hanul didn't go home because she didn't know how to tell her family about the interview results. Jongwoo continued to encourage her and hoped that she would not care about other people's eyes, but rather worry about herself first. Jongwoo had come up with an answer. If he could go back to his student days, he would hug Hanul because she was so understanding back then. These words once again moved Hanul. There were people patrolling outside the classroom, so the two of them hid under the table. They unintentionally looked straight at each other, then quickly avoided each other's eyes. The emotion grew stronger and stronger. Thanks to Jongwoo's encouragement, Hanul regained her composure and talked about the failed interview with her mother. Her mother did not blame her at all. Hanul felt much more relieved. The things she could not say before were no longer difficult because of Jongwoo. The next day, the senior gave Jongwoo a pen with a hidden camera installed, which he accidentally discovered in Jongwoo's clinic. Jongwoo went to the clinic to see, and sure enough, there were many other hidden camera pens inside. Jongwoo called the police. He suspected that this might be related to his medical incident. The senior mentioned Hanul that he could see that Jongwoo liked her. The senior kindly reminded Jongwoo that he was having a hard time himself, so it was best not to get lost in his feelings. Hanul and her friend drank, and the friend confidently said that Jongwoo definitely had feelings for Hanul. Hanul was drunk. She decisively borrowed wine yeast and decided to clearly once. Hanul asked Jongwoo why he was so nice to her. Did he like her? This wasn't a question. It was clearly Hanul's confession. After Jongwoo stood there stunned for a moment, he wanted to tell her the truth, but the senior's words rang in his ears. He thought to himself that in this situation, he had no right to fall in love. Thinking of this, Jongwoo coldly denied it to Hanul. He said that he had no other intentions towards her. Hanul covered her face in embarrassment. What was even more surprising was that Hanul's entire family was sitting together by the clothesline. Everyone had heard Jongwoo's words of rejection towards Hanul. That night, Hanul was so embarrassed that she couldn't sleep. Jongwoo was also crazy and extremely conflicted. The next day, when the two saw each other, they were extremely embarrassed. After a few days, Hanul encouraged herself that the next time she met Jongwoo, she would greet him more naturally. Hanul mustered up all her courage to talk to Jongwoo. She felt that she had assumed that he liked her by herself, which was why she felt so embarrassed. Jongwoo couldn't help but tell the truth that he realized that he didn't have the right to do so and couldn't promise Hanul any feelings, but he hoped that Hanul wouldn't feel embarrassed. It seemed that Hanul recognized the feelings in Jongwoo's words. At this time, the ambulance staff carried a stretcher past. A subway passenger accidentally fell down the stairs. Jongwoo looked at the blood on the ground and felt extremely uneasy. This scene was noticed by Hanul. The psychologist told Hanul that this was a typical phenomenon of stress due to psychological trauma. It meant that the doctors still could not get out of the trauma of the medical incident. Thinking about what Jongwoo said tonight, Hanul suddenly realized that perhaps it's not that he doesn't have feelings for her, but that he was immersed in the pain and fear that he could not escape. That night, Jongwoo had another nightmare. When he woke up, he was extremely tired. He thought that he was currently completely unqualified to comfort and care for others. While he was thinking, Hanul ran over. Hanul hugged Jongwoo without saying a word. She comforted him that it was okay and everything would be fine. At this time, Jongwoo's heart could no longer hide his feelings for Hanul. In order to help Jongwoo stop having nightmares, Hanul decided to think of a way to help him sleep well. First, she took Jongwoo to buy wine. She heard that drinking a glass before going to bed would help sleep better. Then she bought comfortable cotton pajamas for him. And finally, they went to the rooftop to wash the blanket. While washing the blanket, Hanul confessed to him. Jongwoo couldn't adapt in time and almost fell down. Hanul also knew that Jongwoo's life was very difficult right now, so she didn't want this feeling to turn into trouble. So they agreed to wait until Jongwoo finished handling the lawsuit before considering their relationship. Hanul wanted to see a psychologist with Jongwoo. He decided to see a psychologist, but he wanted Han-nol to go with him. Han-nol muttered that Jong-woo was just like a child. Jong-woo turned on the flashlight on his phone to light up the way down the stairs for Han-nol. Han-nol's face instantly revealed a girlish embarrassment. The next day, the two of them went to see a psychologist together, then took medicine together. Their actions were extremely in sync. Han-nol tried everything to help Jong-woo feel better. First, she happily swayed around after picking up a 500 won coin. Then she dragged Jong-woo along the street to compete with the kids to play games. The atmosphere Han-nol created was a bit awkward. Jong-woo had dragged her to a karaoke bar and even took the initiative to sing a few popular songs. But Han-nol understood that the words Jong-woo was singing were all confessions to her. Han-nol immediately told him to stop. On the way back, Han-nol couldn't help but ask Jong-woo why he used the song's lyrics to confess to her. Jong-woo immediately explained that Han-nol had misheard the words. Han-nol was embarrassed again. Jong-woo gently thanked her. He knew that Han-nol had spent all her effort today just to make him happy. While the two were talking, a woman suddenly came over. This woman recognized both of them. She was a high school friend of Jong-woo and Han-nol. This friend pulled the two of them out for coffee and even mentioned Jong-woo's previous second trial. Han-nol was unhappy. Jong-woo politely talked to this friend. The friend said that she and Jong-woo were not friends, but in love in the past. Jong-woo was stunned when he heard that. Han-nol looked at Jong-woo with jealousy in her eyes. The friend was lost in her memories as she recounted the story between her and Jong-woo. In high school, Jong-woo used to work in the school cafeteria. At that time, he always gave this friend a lot of delicious sausages. When they were studying together, this friend borrowed Jong-woo's eraser, and Jong-woo immediately gave her the eraser. The friend also concluded that Jong-woo definitely liked her. Han-nol heard this and started to get jealous. On the surface, she laughed and talked with her friend, but under the table, she kicked Jong-woo. When the other friend left, Han-nol immediately scolded Jong-woo. She would never forget that year in the cafeteria. Jong-woo only gave her sweet peppers that no one else ate. The treatment of he for Han-nol and this friend was really too different. After Han-nol finished speaking, she angrily bumped Jong-woo with her shoulder. When he returned home, Jong-woo finally remembered what happened that year. Actually, when he divided the rice that year, the person he cared about was Han-nol. In order to compete with Han-nol for first place, Jong-woo smiled and deliberately gave her the sweet pepper dish. Han-nol helplessly carried the plate away. Jong-woo's eyes were still on Han-nol, so he accidentally let this friend come after a pile of sausages. But in fact, Jong-woo was really wronged. He had no feelings for that friend. Han-nol found it very strange. In front of her old friend, she seemed to not care about losing face because of unemployment, but she was controlled by jealousy. The next day, when Han-nol calmed down, she took a portion of dumplings from her uncle's place to give to Jong-woo. Moreover, she practiced speaking so that when facing Jong-woo, she could speak smoothly. Unexpectedly, Jong-woo suddenly appeared behind her. Han-nol was nervous and kept stumbling over her words. Jong-woo did not laugh at Han-nol, but sat down to eat dumplings and drink beer with her. Han-nol said frankly that she was like Jong-woo in that she had no right to ask anyone for anything. But thinking about this friend's attitude towards Jong-woo, Han-nol still felt unhappy and jealous. Such feelings made her very uncomfortable. Jong-woo could not help but honestly say that he was the same. He clearly knew that the current situation was not suitable for love, but he couldn't control his heart. Jong-woo also said that he had a lot of things to say to Han-nol, but he still held back. Han-nol was very curious and asked Jong-woo to reveal something to her. Unexpectedly, Jong-woo confessed to her. Jong-woo promised that after this difficult time, he would choose a suitable opportunity to solemnly confess to Han-nol. Han-nol was secretly happy that she was not one-sided. That evening, Jong-woo explained to Han-nol that he had absolutely never had a relationship with that friend. Although still a little jealous, Han-nol chose to believe Jong-woo. The two talked about the secret filming. Jong-woo was about to tell Han-nol about the camera in the clinic when the senior arrived. Seeing the senior's reaction, Han-nol was a bit strange. She didn't even say hello and coldly left. The senior explained to Jong-woo that the last time he told Jong-woo to stop the relationship, he only wanted the best for Jong-woo. Jong-woo nodded without answering. It seemed like he was a little wary of the senior. Han-nol discovered that Jong-woo had not closed the door yet, so she went into the room and closed the window for him to clean his room. But while cleaning, she accidentally discovered a hidden camera under the cabinet. On this side, after Jong-woo was on his way home after meeting the senior, he was being followed. Jong-woo grabbed the mysterious person and questioned him. The mysterious person picked up a bottle of wine and hit Jong-woo before running away. Jong-woo went to the police station to report the case, but at that time, the camera on that street was broken, so they could not know the direction the mysterious person ran away. The police compared the scene in the camera and discovered that the mysterious person who appeared at Jong-woo's house earlier and the stalker tonight had very similar body shape and gait. It was very likely that they were the same person. Han-nol went to the police station to find Jong-woo. Just now, Han-nol suddenly discovered a hidden camera under the table. Jong-woo looked at it and saw that it was exactly the same as the hidden camera at his clinic. It seemed to be the same person. Unfortunately, the police examined it closely and discovered that the camera in the hidden camera pen had gotten wet, causing the data to be irreversibly damaged. After leaving the police station, Han-nol noticed that Jong-woo's forehead was injured, but he he didn't pay any attention. Hanul worriedly dragged him to the clinic for treatment. The injury wasn't serious, but Hanul burst into tears. Hanul originally thought Jong-woo was just unlucky and had a medical accident. Now she realizes it was possible that someone was intentionally trying to harm him. Thinking of this, she felt very upset. She couldn't imagine how Jong-woo had gone through this period. Jong-woo looked at Hanul's tears and couldn't exclamation that he had found a good girl. The next day, Hanul's mother discovered that the family's electric iron and the food she had made last night had suddenly disappeared. Hanul's mother immediately assumed that Hanul's younger brother had done it, so she beat him up. Unexpectedly, Hanul had taken all those things. Moreover, Hanul give all this for Jong-woo. Today was Jong-woo's third trial. Hanul wanted Jong-woo to dress more formally, so she brought the electric iron and wanted to iron Jong-woo's shirt. After ironing the shirt, Hanul personally tied his tie for him, and then she put the food her mother had made on the table. Hanul told Jong-woo that he had to eat something before the trial no matter what. Not only that, Hanul also wanted to go to court with Jong-woo. She was worried that if she wasn't there, Jong-woo would be followed and attacked. Hanul's younger brother suddenly thought of when Jong-woo first arrived. Hanul's younger brother had seen someone following Jong-woo upstairs. Hanul was even more worried. She went downstairs and saw that Jong-woo wasn't waiting for her, and his phone had fallen to the ground. Hanul realized that something had happened to Jong-woo. Sure enough, Jong-woo was late when the trial started. The lawyer hoped to announce a postponement of the trial. Fortunately, Jong-woo ran over in time and handed the USB to the lawyer, which was the evidence he had just found. At this time, next to Hanul's house, Jong-woo saw the anesthesiologist of his clinic. In the previous trial, the anesthesiologist agreed to appear, but then broke promise. Jong-woo had found the anesthesiologist very suspicious, but this time, after being chased by Jong-woo, the anesthesiologist handed the USB to Jong-woo. It contained a video of the clinic secretly recorded. The video shows two men in black breaking into Jong-woo's clinic and injecting anticoagulant in a heparin bottle into the IV tube, and then sticking Jong-woo's fingerprints on it. Finally, sticking the prepared mark on the IV bottle. Jong-woo asked the police to investigate and found out that the instigator of the murder and framing Jong-woo was the younger brother of the rich girl's father. The purpose was for the huge amount of assets in the family. The anesthesiologist who gave Jong-woo the USB confirmed that he was not the murderer, but a witness. It turned out that the anesthesiologist had also had a medical accident and was falsely accused from then on to protect himself. The anesthesiologist had a habit of secretly placing cameras in the operating room. It was thanks to this habit that Jong-woo was saved this time. After Jong-woo was cleared, he did not feel relieved, but extremely sad. Hanul knew that Jong-woo had lost too much in this case, so she did not know who to blame for the moment. After the truth was revealed, advertisers wanted to use Jong-woo to make money. Friends who had misunderstood and criticized him before, and those who had never comforted him when things went wrong, now sent him messages asking about him. Even Jong-woo's mother only said a few random words on the phone. Only Hanul trusted and cared for Jong-woo from the beginning to the end. Hanul wanted to send a message to Jong-woo, but after composing the message, she deleted it. She didn't know how to start the conversation. Suddenly, Hanul thought of a way. It seemed like the cabbage on the rooftop hadn't been watered for several days, so Hanul took the watering can to the rooftop and wanted to use this as an excuse to visit Jong-woo. Seeing this, Hanul's younger brother immediately called Jong-woo out. Not only Hanul, but her family also cared about Jong-woo. After Jong-woo was taken out, he wanted to politely refuse, but Hanul's mother pulled him down and wanted to invite him to eat meat. Hanul's uncle asked Jong-woo to open the ginseng wine bottle. Hanul's whole family was very enthusiastic, so Jong-woo couldn't refuse, so he joined them to drink and eat meat. It wasn't until that night that Hanul's mother said that she hated Jong-woo for refusing Hanul while saying some warm words to comfort Jong-woo. But now, Jong-woo wanted to drink alone with Hanul. It seemed that only when he was face to face with Hanul could he confide his feelings. Jong-woo said that he had always been very smooth and had never experienced any difficulties. Perhaps that's why this incident made him unable to recover. Hanul looked at Jong-woo with heartache. The gentle and kind boy in front of her was forced to take responsibility for a crime he didn't commit. Jong-woo took the opportunity to confess with Hanul, and as soon as he said it, he couldn't hold back anymore. After getting drunk, Jong-woo dragged Hanul to go pick up stuffed animals and buy ice cream. Meanwhile, Jong-woo kept repeating his confession to Hanul. The moon tonight was beautiful. Jong-woo made a wish to the moonlight. He hoped Hanul could be happy. Jong-woo also wanted to hold Hanul's hand. Hanul agreed. Jong-woo reached out and held Hanul's hand tightly and moved closer to her. He really liked Hanul. Ever since Jong-woo confessed to Hanul, she only held her phone and smiled all day. She even occasionally stole a glance at the date location that her younger brother wrote. But at the same time, Hanul still didn't understand that although she and Jong-woo had confessed to each other and even held hands, Jong-woo didn't say he wanted to date her. Hanul analyzed whether they could be considered lovers in this situation. Hanul was so bothered by this that she couldn't sleep, so she lied that it was her friend's business and wanted to ask her family's opinion. Her mother and her uncle were both experienced people. They both believed that holding hands was considered dating. After all, that was their era. But her younger brother had had the opposite opinion. As a new age love guru, her younger brother believed that just confessing and holding hands was not dating. Her younger brother's words made Hanul uneasy, so she sent a message to Jongwoo asking to talk. Jongwoo was standing right behind her. He saw Hanul's message as soon as he saw it. The two of them were about to talk when Hanul's younger brother suddenly knocked on the door. Hanul immediately picked up her shoes and hid in the bathroom. She didn't want her younger brother to know that she was the one who took the initiative. Hanul's younger brother confidently expressed that he wanted to talk to Jongwoo like a man. His younger brother had already guessed that the troublesome love story his older sister was talking about was her own. Hanul's younger brother was a little angry, feeling that if Jongwoo had chosen to confess, he would even hold hands, but in the end, he wouldn't say anything. It was obvious that Jongwoo was teasing Hanul. Jongwoo thought that he and Hanul had started dating yesterday. Hanul was surprised. She accidentally touched the faucet button. The shower made her all wet. Her younger brother was about to go in to see when Jongwoo found an excuse to see the guests off. After Hanul's younger brother left, Jongwoo immediately took the wet Hanul to the living room. At this time, Hanul only cared about what Jongwoo said earlier. Jongwoo gave a definite answer that he had waited a long time to become Hanul's lover. Hanul was all wet, so Jongwoo gave her his clothes to wear and gave her flowers. Hanul was extremely happy. She waved the sleeves saying that they were a bit long. Jongwoo pulled Hanul's hand and hugged her. Thanks to her younger brother's help, Hanul and Jongwoo officially confirmed their relationship. They quickly started their first date. Hanul said that she wanted to have a romantic date with Jongwoo. Jongwoo was looking forward to it. Unexpectedly, Hanul took him to the library. First, she studied for her thesis, then she consulted for treatment. Hanul was a genuine good student. The only romance she could think of was studying. Jongwoo immediately told her to stop. He took Hanul to the cinema. Jongwoo remembered that Hanul had said that she wanted to sit next to the person she liked and eat popcorn. They fed each other popcorn. Jongwoo leaned excitedly on Hanul's arm. The two of them played games and then took pictures. They had a lot of fun. When Jongwoo returned home, he received a wedding invitation from the senior. Hearing the news that the senior was getting married, Hanul's expression became a little strange. While Jongwoo was not there, Hanul sat alone on the stairs, hugging her chest. It seemed that the senior's presence made her feel short of breath. Jongwoo didn't notice Hanul's state, so the next day he asked Hanul to go out to eat together. Hanul said that she was outside, then quickly hung up. Hanul's tone made Jongwoo feel uneasy. He didn't know that Hanul was alone at the moment when she went to see a psychiatrist. She wanted to get medicine from the doctor, not the kind of medicine for daily use, but medicine specifically for mental instability. Just in time, Jongwoo came here to see Hanul talking to the doctor. Jongwoo saw Hanul crying. This was the first time he saw Hanul cry so painfully. Because he was worried, Jongwoo followed Hanul the whole way. Hanul walked absent-mindedly on the road. Jongwoo called her. Hanul answered casually, then hung up in a hurry. Jongwoo didn't know what happened, but it was clear that Hanul had something heavy on her mind that she couldn't tell him. When they arrived at the door, Hanul's mother pulled Jongwoo back, wanting to make something delicious for him to eat. Hanul's younger brother also pulled Jongwoo into his sister's room. Hanul's younger brother asked Jongwoo if he was going to ask Hanul on a date. Jongwoo accidentally saw a photo of Hanul under the book. The person next to Hanul in the photo was Jongwoo's senior. Moreover, the two of them looked very intimate. Jongwoo remembered what Hanul had said about the senior. He guessed that Hanul might have dated this guy, but the truth was that Jongwoo had thought too much. At this time, Hanul was meeting the old colleague at the hospital. The colleague told her that the senior was getting married and was planning to resign. It was said that his marriage partner was the daughter of the boss of a pharmaceutical company. As long as he got married, he could become the director of this company. During this time, he worked at the hospital just to gain the reputation of a professor and a good resume. Fortunately, the pharmaceutical company was on the rise. The colleagues were all indignant on Hanul's behalf. It turned out that the thesis that helped the senior become a professor was actually written by Hanul. The words of her colleague reminded Hanul of her painful past. That year, Hanul was still in college when her father suddenly passed away. Her father's death made Hanul extremely sad. During those painful days, the people who comforted and encouraged her were senior. The senior's series of good intentions made Hanul trust and rely on him. Until later, the senior secretly took Hanul's thesis and was promoted to assistant professor. At that time, Hanul asked the senior for an explanation, but the senior revealed his true nature. Not only did he not apologize, he also criticized Hanul for being unreasonable. Hanul thought of this past. She regained her composure. The colleagues were congratulating the senior. Hanul came without being invited, so the senior panicked. Hanul said nothing and splashed wine on the senior's face. It rained in the evening, so Jongwoo came to pick Hanul up. Seeing Hanul walking alone in the rain, Jongwoo immediately came over with an umbrella. Unexpectedly, Hanul asked to break up. Jongwoo had escaped from despair, but Hanul still couldn't. She felt that she was not qualified to love at the moment, and even less qualified to ruin Jongwoo's future. Jongwoo hoped that Hanul would stay by his side, and he would share her sadness with her, but Hanul refused. Jongwoo put the umbrella in Hanul's hand, then he quietly turned around and left. At this time, Hanul was standing there, sobbing. At the same time, Jungwoo was invited to work at the clinic by his friend. Because Jungwoo didn't know how to face Hanul, he chose to temporarily move out. On the day he moved, Hanul didn't come to see him off, but stood through the window and watched. She was very reluctant, but she didn't want to hold on to Jungwoo. Jungwoo also kept sighing. That night, both of them drank a lot of alcohol, to the point that both of them were drunk. While they were in a daze, both of them had each other in their hearts. The next day, relatives called Hanul's mother and wanted to introduce a boyfriend to Hanul. That person was the only son of the hospital director. As long as this matter was successful, Hanul would become the director's daughter-in-law in the future, or even inherit the hospital. Hanul's mother saw that Hanul had been in a bad mood recently, so she thought it was because Hanul's career was not going well. In order to help Hanul regain her career and escape from despair, Hanul's mother decided to trick Hanul into going on a blind date. Hanul went to the meeting place. Hanul thought he was looking for her to discuss medical matters, but when she got there, she discovered that he was extremely arrogant and rude. He kept mentioning marriage. Hanul realized that this was a blind date, so she got up and left. When she got home, she angrily questioned her mother. According to Hanul, her mother rushed her to go on a blind date because she felt that she had no job and no boyfriend, making her family lose face. Hanul was extremely heartbroken. Other people might not care about the criticism of her, but if her mother treated her like that, she really couldn't stand it. Hanul was upset and refused to talk to her mother. To help Hanul and her mother reconcile, Hanul's uncle took her out to eat pig's feet. Her younger brother also brought her mother, and her younger brother and uncle were very considerate and let Hanul and her mother live alone together. Her mother apologized to Hanul and even brought Hanul's father's savings book. That was the money her father had planned to give Hanul on her wedding day. Her mother knew that Hanul was very hurt of her father's death. The day her father passed away, Hanul was busy studying at university, so she couldn't see her father for the last time. Hanul's mother felt very sad and guilty for not seeing Hanul's fatigue sooner. So now, mother gave Hanul this savings and hoped that Hanul would use it to travel and forget her worries. For Hanul's mother, it didn't matter if Hanul never had a lover or a job in her entire life. Hanul's mother's lifelong wish was for Hanul to be happy and joyful. Before Hanul's mother could finish speaking, Hanul burst into tears. The mother and daughter drank a glass of wine. All conflicts were resolved. After eating, the two walked home. Hanul's mother mentioned Jungwoo. Hanul's mother remembered how sad he looked the day he moved. Hanul's mother noticed Jungwoo's appearance every time he rushed out without eating properly. Even though she didn't know what happened, Hanul's mother knew that Jungwoo must be like her daughter. He was forced to endure a blow that he shouldn't have. Hanul's mother said that she was very happy that Hanul and Jungwoo could meet and fall in love. She also had high hopes that Hanul could find happiness from Jungwoo. The mother's words about Jungwoo kept ringing in Hanul's head. That night, she looked at the photos she took Jungwoo on her phone. Recalling the romantic events of the past, Hanul felt very lost. The next morning, when she woke up, Hanul was surprised to find that she was drunk last night and sent Jungwoo a text message asking if he had slept yet. Unexpectedly, as soon as she went upstairs, Jungwoo appeared in front of her. Last night, Hanul missed Jungwoo. Jungwoo also missed Hanul very much. Because he couldn't let go, Jungwoo decided to personally go see how Hanul would live without him. Jungwoo asked Hanul if he could wait for her. Wait until Hanul's mood improves and she's no longer anxious, then she can come back to him. No matter when, as long as Hanul is willing, he'll be here. After confessing his feelings to Hanul, Jungwoo went to his friend's clinic. Thanks to Jungwoo's reputation as a famous plastic surgeon, Jungwoo's friend's deserted clinic was suddenly filled with customers. Every customer specifically wanted Jungwoo to do something for them. Jungwoo tried to regain his confidence, but when he saw the bloody cloth, the trauma of the medical incident came back to him. Jungwoo not only had nightmares, but the next day he panicked halfway through the surgery, so he had to temporarily stop. In front of his friend, Jungwoo lied and said everything was fine. The next day, he tried to enter the operating room. In the operating room, Jungwoo tried his best to control his anxiety. He asked the anesthesiologist if he was ready for the surgery. The anesthesiologist's voice made Jungwoo stunned. It was Hanul's voice. He turned around and saw Hanul standing nearby in surgical scrubs. She was the anesthesiologist for this surgery. It turned out that last night, Hanul had heard about Jungwoo's panic attack relapse at her friend's place. In order to protect Jungwoo, Hanul decided to participate in the surgery. The two of them cooperated, and the surgery was completed smoothly. Later, Jungwoo's friend told him that Hanul had asked to participate in the surgery. It was just that Hanul's companionship seemed to have backfired. Jungwoo told his friend the truth that he didn't want to go into the operating room for the time being. The surgery just now had left him in a state of panic, and he couldn't completely escape the trauma of the past. Hanul didn't want Jungwoo to give up because Jungwoo had also said that she could come back to him at any time. Jungwoo was a little angry. He wanted Hanul to come back, but not in this way, so the two argued. At this time, a guest arrived, who was their high school teacher. The teacher invited the two former students to eat. While eating, they reminisced about the past. Jungwoo was a typical good student, but since Hanul transferred, the dispute between the two top students never stopped. At that time, Hanul ate super spicy chili peppers in class because she didn't want to fall asleep. Jungwoo followed suit. argument. Up to now, because of an egg in the rice cake soup, the two of them still fought over it, neither willing to give in. After saying goodbye to the teacher, Jungwoo said that in fact, in high school, he didn't learn from Hanul how to eat spicy chili peppers. He lied because he felt sorry for Hanul. He didn't want her to feel uncomfortable because she ate too much chili peppers. At that time, Jungwoo was indifferent to Hanul, so he didn't want to see her feel uncomfortable. Because of depression, Hanul was still in the resting stage. Jungwoo didn't want Hanul to suffer like that because of him. Hanul explained that she just didn't want him to face the pain alone. Jungwoo was a little angry because when Hanul asked to break up, he also said he wanted to be with Hanul to share her hardships. But at that time, Hanul chose to break up. Jungwoo's words hurt her. Hanul couldn't sleep all night. Hanul's younger brother ran to tell Hanul that the attic light was on. It seemed like Jungwoo had returned. Hanul immediately ran upstairs, but the person she saw was Jungwoo's friend who came to help him get something. The attic light turned on and then went dark. Hanul's face showed disappointment. The next day, Hanul's friend called her colleague. The colleague revealed to Hanul's friend that Hanul had been ruined by the senior. At this time, Jungwoo passed by and heard it, so he asked Hanul's friend about it. Hanul's friend told Jungwoo that I heard that the senior had taken Hanul's thesis and achievements. Moreover, he had spread rumors that were bad for Hanul, causing everyone to criticize her. Jungwoo was angry and went to find the senior to talk to him. But even now, the senior not only did not regret it at all, but also ridiculed Hanul in front of Jungwoo. The senior even pretended to be kind and advised Jungwoo to keep his distance from Hanul. When the senior spoke, Jungwoo was extremely angry. In the end, he stood up and hit the senior, then taught the senior a lesson. Hanul missed Jungwoo. After thinking for a while, she decided to call Cho Jungwoo to meet him. Unexpectedly, Jungwoo had already gone up to the attic. Hanul was extremely worried when she saw Jungwoo's injured face. Jungwoo didn't say anything but just hugged Hanul tightly. He felt that he was to blame. He blamed himself for not discovering what Hanul had to endure earlier. Hanul applied medicine to Jungwoo. Jungwoo couldn't hold it in any longer. Actually, he missed Hanul a lot during the days they broke up. The day Hanul broke up with him, he was very sad. He felt like he couldn't give Hanul the sense of security to become a man Hanul could trust. Jungwoo regained his confidence and wanted to face each surgery. But in the end, in the operating room, his hands were still shaking when he held the scalpel right in front of Hanul. Hanul smiled. These past few days, Jungwoo had taught her. Besides studying and working, there was also the big, beautiful world. So whether Jungwoo could hold the scalpel or not, in her heart, Jungwoo was the coolest guy. After saying that, Hanul told Jungwoo to change into his coolest outfit. They would go somewhere tonight. Hanul pulled Jungwoo to a nightclub. The two of them danced enthusiastically. The fatigue of the past few days had all disappeared. After playing, Hanul reminded Jungwoo of something that happened a few days ago, which was that she had suddenly discovered a fatty tumor on the teacher's back. That day, the teacher went to the clinic to find Jungwoo, also intending to have surgery at this clinic. But at that time, the teacher heard that Jungwoo had a panic attack during the surgery because the teacher did not want to cause more trouble for his students. So at that time, the teacher hid his intention. Hanul hoped to be able to participate in the teacher's surgery, but if Jungwoo did not want to, she would also withdraw. But this time, Jungwoo agreed with Hanul. He would hold the surgery and she would come to help him. A few days later, the teacher's surgery was performed. In the operating room, Hanul prepared medicine for the teacher. Jungwoo also took the medicine prescribed by the psychiatrist before the surgery. Hanul was ready. The two looked at each other and smiled. The surgery officially began. This time, Jungwoo performed excellently. The lipoma on the teacher's back was successfully removed. The two felt extremely relieved. After work, everyone in the clinic gathered together. While eating, the nurses were all very nice to Jungwoo. Hanul looked on with envy. Jungwoo kicked Hanul under the table. Hanul understood and raised her glass with Jungwoo. Hanul's friend came to her to talk about Jungwoo beating up the senior. Only then did Hanul understand where the wound on Jungwoo's face came from. Jungwoo's friend wanted to play a game. The question Hanul drew was whether she had a boyfriend. After hesitating for a while, she answered that she didn't have a boyfriend. It was Jungwoo's turn to draw. The question he drew was, when was the last time he kissed? After reading it, Jungwoo didn't know how to answer. He was teased by everyone, so he could only answer vaguely. The two returned to the attic. Jungwoo asked Hanul why she said she didn't have a boyfriend. Was he still her ex-boyfriend? Hanul didn't answer. She just said that Jungwoo also lied. It turned out that a few nights ago, when Hanul applied medicine to Jungwoo couldn't help but kiss Hanul. That kiss was so stimulating that Hanul didn't refuse. At this time, outside the attic, Jungwoo kissed Hanul for the second time. After that kiss, Hanul and Jungwoo made up with each other. Jungwoo expressed that he would move from the clinic to Hanul's attic. In addition, Jungwoo took Hanul's phone and changed his contact name to boyfriend. At night, the two flirted and teased each other. In their eyes, the other was the most beautiful and adorable person in the world. Jungwoo couldn't help but ask Hanul to come up to the attic to eat noodles and black bean sauce with him at midnight. Hanul secretly took her mother's kimchi mixed with onions, but was caught by her mother. So she lied that she was going to write her thesis while eating. While the two of them were eating noodles in the attic, Hanul told Jungwoo that their dating had to be kept a secret at the clinic. After all, her job was unstable, but Hanul also also said that she would tell the truth to her family. Her whole family liked Jung-woo. Jung-woo happily ate the kimchi, and he kept praising Han-ul's mother for making delicious kimchi. After eating the noodles, Jung-woo smiled wickedly. He told Han-ul to lie on the bed with him. Han-ul was still embarrassed. Jung-woo hugged her and fell onto the bed. Han-ul also turned over, and she agreed to sleep with him for 30 minutes, and then left. As a result, the two slept until morning. Han-ul's mother saw the attic window open and realized that Jung-woo had returned. She was originally happy, but when she looked in, there was a woman sleeping on Jung-woo's bed. This time, a big misunderstanding had happened. Jung-woo was extremely stunned, but Han-ul changed her mind. She said she wanted to keep their relationship a secret for now. In order to fool her mother, Han-ul took a bottle of mineral water from Jung-woo's house and lied that she had gone jogging outside in the morning. Han-ul's mother was extremely angry because she thought Jung-woo dared to betray Han-ul. In order to teach Jung-woo a lesson, so she pretended to check Jung-woo's tie and then grabbed his neck. Han-ul's mother said that she wanted to brush the dust off his shirt, but in reality, she slapped him hard on the back. Jung-woo was extremely helpless. Han-ul saw this and hid in the house again. The next morning, Jung-woo was still thinking about how to apologize when Han-ul's mother came. Han-ul's mother loudly called Jung-woo downstairs. Jung-woo thought Han-ul's mother wanted to ask him for his sins. Unexpectedly, she just patted his shoulder and smiled, saying that she really liked this future son-in-law. It turned out that this morning she found a bottle of mineral water in Jung-woo's trash can. This bottle of water was exactly like the bottle Han-ul drank when she went jogging that morning, and there was also a broken plate. It was clearly the plate containing kimchi that Han-ul brought out that night. Han-ul's mother immediately recognized that the person who slept in the same bed with Jung-woo that night was Han-ul. It just so happened that day was Han-ul's mother's birthday. Han-ul booked a table at the restaurant, and after everyone sat down, Han-ul's mother said that another person would come. Unexpectedly, it was Jung-woo. Han-ul found out that her mother knew she slept with Jung-woo, so Han-ul held Jung-woo's hand and admitted their relationship in front of her family. Han-ul hoped that her mother would stop bullying Jung-woo. While eating, Han-ul told her mother the truth that she was helping Jung-woo in the operating room recently. Her mother was very happy when she heard her daughter could find a job and have a good boyfriend. She was very satisfied. After the birthday party ended, Jung-woo said that he really liked and admired Han-ul because she had such a family. Han-ul mentioned that when she was in high school, she had met Jung-woo's mother once. Jung-woo's parents were professors at an American medical school. Not long before, Jung-woo's father was the first Asian president of the Cardiovascular Association. His parents were very dissatisfied because Jung-woo became a plastic surgeon. Not long before, after Jung-woo was falsely accused of a medical incident, the only time his mother called him was to tell him not to let this matter hinder his father's development abroad. After hearing Jung-woo's story, Han-ul felt very sad. Jung-woo had been very lonely for the past few years. Fortunately, after dating Han-ul, Jung-woo's loneliness was gone. Because of Han-ul's company, Jung-woo no longer panicked during surgery. Han-ul's depression also got better and better. The two of them dated each other every day. One day, Jung-woo mentioned the senior who used Han-ul's thesis to become a professor. There was a time when Jung-woo considered the senior as his real brother. But that year, when Jung-woo passed the Seoul Medical School entrance exam, the senior invited him to drink under the pretext of congratulating him. When Jung-woo got drunk, he seemed to see the senior putting drugs in his wine. Jung-woo had to go to the emergency room because of that. Because he wasn't sure if what he saw was real, he didn't pursue the matter. After that incident, the senior continued to act close to Jung-woo. It wasn't until Han-ul's incident that Jung-woo was sure that the senior wasn't a good person. Indeed, the senior had a secret that he kept from Jung-woo. At night, the anesthesiologist who provided the clinic camera to Jung-woo came to find the senior and asked him to fulfill his promise. It seemed that the senior was involved in Jung-woo's medical incident. Jung-woo received his first month's salary and immediately withdrew a portion. He wanted to put it in an envelope and send it to Han-ul's mother. After all, he had been taken care of by her during this time. Jung-woo was on the phone telling Han-ul about this when he suddenly felt someone following him. Jung-woo turned around and saw Han-ul's younger brother and uncle. Han-ul's uncle's problem was very clear. He asked Jung-woo about everything from his height and weight, from Jung-woo's health condition to his family situation. Han-ul's uncle asked these questions for Han-ul's happiness. Jung-woo was drunk by the two of them. Jung-woo heard Han-ul's uncle say that she liked squirrels, so he ran to buy some. Jung-woo heard Han-ul's younger brother say that Han-ul liked sugar cookies, so he bought an 8,001 cookie. The next morning, Jung-woo woke up. He opened his eyes and found that he had fallen asleep next to Han-ul's dining table. Her whole family was eating and looking at him. Han-ul blamed Jung-woo for drinking too much alcohol. Jung-woo was about to explain when Han-ul's uncle and her younger brother lied that Jung-woo was the one who asked for alcohol. Jung-woo finally found a chance to explain to Han-ul. He also gave Han-ul a stuffed squirrel and a sugar cake. Han-ul also gave Jung-woo a present. Jung-woo excitedly opened the box. Unexpectedly, inside was a thick book on the history of plastic surgery. Actually, apart from the stuffed squirrel and the sugar cake, Jung-woo had also prepared another gift for Han-ul, which was outdoor teaching. Han-ul had said that when she was in school, she had never experienced experienced outdoor learning, so she felt it was a pity. Because of the outdoor trip tomorrow, Jong-woo took Han-ul shopping, watching movies, and drinking coffee. Han-ul mentioned the matter of her senior. Jong-woo gently interrupted. He really liked the present. From being drunk by Han-ul's uncle last night to waking up at Han-ul's house this morning, especially now that he was sitting across from Han-ul drinking coffee. He liked and cherished these small, ordinary things. Han-ul understood and stopped talking about this topic. She also wanted to be like Jong-woo and focus on the happiness in front of her. The day of the outdoor outing arrived. Han-ul wore new clothes. Jong-woo was personally a kimbap filled with love. The two of them took the bus together, and in the end, he told Han-ul to think of the people around them as classmates and imagine the situation of teaching outdoors. Then, Jong-woo pulled Han-ul along with the students to the museum. Not only that, Jong-woo also rented a high school uniform to simulate the high school scene with Han-ul, taking nostalgic photos under the ivy. At one point, Jong-woo looked at Han-ul, feeling like he was back in high school. On the day of the high school graduation photo shoot, Han-ul was still reading a book. Jong-woo could only helplessly look at her from afar. His two classmates saw this and teased him. They told Jong-woo to quickly date Han-ul. Jong-woo only saw them cursing him. Thinking of this, Jong-woo couldn't help but feel emotional. He didn't expect that the person he comforted many years ago would be himself. Jong-woo even said that he really wanted to go back to the past to beat himself up for bullying Han-ul. Han-ul was hungry while talking. Unexpectedly, Jong-woo's friend and Han-ul's friend suddenly came over. Han-ul's friend was called by Jong-woo. The purpose was to surprise Han-ul. At night, the four of them ate barbecue and talked. Jong-woo's friend also mentioned the story of Han-ul and the senior. Jong-woo's friend said that he had seen with his own eyes that the senior always seemed to carry medicine. Jong-woo also remembered the story of the senior once giving up medicine and what his friend said. Jong-woo suspected that the senior did not want to harm him, and the medicine at that time was probably the type of medicine the senior always carried. After the outdoor trip, Han-ul went to see a psychologist as usual. She noticed that the senior's figure was on the doctor's tablet wallpaper. The photo was a group photo of a community service group, and it showed that the sponsor of the community service group was a certain pharmaceutical company. Coincidentally, the senior was the son-in-law and director of this pharmaceutical company. The psychologist also mentioned that this company also sponsored the Macau Medical Association. The company's director's wife was also from Macau. Han-ul was extremely surprised because the person who framed Jong-woo for the failed surgery was someone related to the Macau casino. It seemed that there was something behind this incident between the senior and this pharmaceutical company. Han-ul, in order to investigate the truth, called a pharmaceutical reporter. Han-ul had previously investigated the rumors and heard that this pharmaceutical company was researching a new drug. The reporter provided clues that the new drug that this company was pushing onto the market was researched by the senior. The reporter also mentioned that this company seemed to be related to the Macau mafia. After that, Han-ul flipped through the files and discovered that the vice president of this pharmaceutical company had appeared at Jong-woo's trial. Han-ul was puzzled as to why the director of a pharmaceutical company would come to listen to a trial that had nothing to do with the company. In addition, the police had made a new discovery. Investigation showed that the night Jong-woo moved to the attic, the person who followed him was not the anesthesiologist who gave him the clue, but someone else. Han-ul noticed that a familiar figure appeared on the camera nearby that night. It was none other than the senior. Because of Jong-woo, Han-ul made an appointment to meet the senior. She suspected that the senior had framed her to sit on the professor's chair because he wanted to lead the research of a new drug. The vice president of the pharmaceutical company appeared in Jong-woo's trial because the company and the senior had interfered. He even planned Jong-woo's medical incident. After being exposed, the senior was driving and suddenly panicked. In a moment, a car accident happened. After the accident, Han-ul was seriously injured and unconscious. She and the senior were taken to the hospital. When Jong-woo received the news, he and Han-ul's family rushed to the hospital. Jong-woo changed his usual childish attitude. He kept asking the doctor about the situation, and he patiently comforted Han-ul's family. Fortunately, the surgery was successful, and Han-ul would wake up after a while. In the meantime, everyone wanted to stay by Han-ul's side. Jong-woo arranged everything properly and asked Han-ul's mother and uncle to stay. He and Han-ul's younger brother would go home to pack some things. After the surgery, Jong-woo immediately went to the hospital. Han-ul still hadn't woken up, and the doctor said that she needed to be observed for a while longer. Jong-woo was extremely worried. The high school teacher came to the clinic for a follow-up examination and also brought a piece of paper to Jong-woo. Many years ago, Jong-woo and Han-ul fainted from studying and were taken to the infirmary. The paper was left for Jong-woo by Han-ul after she woke up. Jong-woo opened the paper, and on it were written some advice, asking him not to force himself too much. Jong-woo couldn't control his emotions anymore and burst into tears. Thinking back, although the two of them considered each other rivals, that period of time was also their true selves. Every word Han-ul wrote many years ago was like encouraging the current Jong-woo to persevere. Jong-woo was sobbing when the news of Han-ul waking up was sent. Jong-woo ran to the hospital regardless. Han-ul turned around. Jong-woo quickly hugged Han-ul and confessed his thoughts to her. Jong-woo took Han-ul out to the hospital garden to get some fresh air. He even used magic to cover her with a a cool blanket. Jong-woo said that he actually didn't understand what love was, but now he understood that love is a wish, a prayer, and what he prayed for was for Han-nul to have everything go smoothly and be happy forever. Jong-woo spoke to the point of being moved. He was about to kiss Han-nul when Han-nul's friend came to visit and interrupted him. Jong-woo's friend asked about the car accident. Jong-woo didn't know much either. Compared to the truth of the accident, he was more worried about Han-nul's health. While Han-nul was in the hospital, Jong-woo transformed into a caring boyfriend to take care of her. The two were extremely happy, but what surprised Jong-woo was that although he and Han-nul were secretly in love, everyone in the clinic had already guessed their love story. While everyone was discussing, the anesthesiologist who had provided evidence to Jong-woo earlier arrived. The anesthesiologist revealed to Jong-woo that at that time, there was actually one more hidden camera he had installed in Jong-woo's clinic that he had not yet handed over to the police. Jong-woo didn't understand why the anesthesiologist did that. Unexpectedly, the anesthesiologist said it directly that he said that to probe Jong-woo. The truth was that there was no camera at all. A few days ago, the anesthesiologist also used these words to probe Jong-woo's senior. The senior's reaction was completely different from Jong-woo's. The senior said that no matter what the camera recorded, it was not his fault. The meaning of this sentence was very clear. The senior must have done something bad to Jong-woo. It was probably related to Jong-woo's medical incident. The police also contacted Jong-woo. The camera showed that the day Jong-woo moved into the attic, the person who was following him was the senior. In addition, when checking the hidden camera that the doctor installed, they discovered the medical incident before. One of the cameras had recorded the senior secretly giving medicine to the nurse. It was very clear that the senior had indeed participated in Jong-woo's medical incident. The police also told Jong-woo that Han-nul had come to the police station to look at the camera that the senior had used to monitor Jong-woo. In addition, the conversation while the car was running on the day of the accident has been restored. Jong-woo heard it very clearly. Han-nul went to find the senior because of him, and that's why she got into this accident. Jong-woo realized that it was all because of him that Han-nul got into the accident. Jong-woo was both sad and blamed himself. He loudly asked Han-nul why she did such a dangerous thing. If it wasn't for luck, he probably wouldn't have been able to see Han-nul again this time. Jong-woo angrily left the hospital room. At this time, the delivery man brought a basket of flowers, which Jong-woo had ordered for her in the morning. The card in the basket was his encouragement to Han-nul. It was the answer to Han-nul's encouragement many years ago. It was raining. Jong-woo sat alone in the middle of the hospital garden, frustrated. Han-nul came and spoke softly to Jong-woo. Before she fell into a coma, Han-nul heard the senior's apology, and she also knew about the story between Jong-woo and the senior. Many years ago, the senior was Jong-woo's tutor. Jong-woo's mother was strict and cold. The atmosphere at home was always tense, but Jong-woo seemed to be unaffected. He was kind and cheerful, even very understanding. The senior liked Jong-woo very much. During their time studying at home, the two became good friends. But one evening, the senior's father called. It seemed that the senior's father was drunk and wanted the senior to pick him up. The senior asked Jong-woo's mother to give him 2 hours to take care of personal matters. Jong-woo's mother immediately refused. At that time, there were less than 3 weeks left before Jong-woo's entrance exam, so Jong-woo's mother strictly requested that the senior not leave Jong-woo's side. And so the tragedy happened. Because senior couldn't get out in time, senior's father accidentally took sleeping pills while drunk and died. The resentment in senior's heart could not be dispelled. Even though senior knew that Jong-woo could not be blamed for this, senior still chose to take revenge on Jong-woo. In the end, senior put sleeping pills in Jong-woo's wine. Senior wanted to make Jong-woo's family suffer like him. After Jong-woo was taken to the emergency room, senior was really worried about him. Senior felt both hatred and love for Jong-woo, and in the end, senior decided to ruin Jong-woo's career. Therefore, senior cooperated with the pharmaceutical company and created a plan for Jong-woo's medical accident. Hearing this, Jong-woo went to the intensive care room to visit senior. Senior was seriously injured and was afraid that he would not make it through the night. At this time, senior apologized to Jong-woo. Even though he harmed Jong-woo, after Jong-woo fell into despair, everything he helped was sincere. Jong-woo was a little shaken by what his senior said, but in the end, he did not choose to forgive his senior. For Jong-woo, this was a cost for all the pain he had suffered. That night, the senior was seriously injured and passed away. Jong-woo wanted to find out the truth related to the senior. He went to the detention center to visit the nurse, who was imprisoned for her involvement in a medical incident. Now, she provided clues to Jong-woo. At that time, the senior gave the nurse a piece of paper, telling her to reduce the amount of heparin to prevent a medical incident from happening at Jong-woo's clinic. Jong-woo was shocked. The mastermind behind the medical incident was not the senior, but the pharmaceutical company that directed the senior. It was the company that colluded with the Macau casino to harm Jong-woo, and the senior knew about this. On one hand, he cooperated with the pharmaceutical company. On the other hand, he thought of a way to protect Jong-woo. It seemed that the senior wasn't lying completely. At least the senior's feelings for Jong-woo were real. At this moment, Jong-woo's emotions were extremely chaotic, even a little regret. It seemed like he had never understood the senior's mood and situation. If he had chosen to forgive at the last minute? Would the senior be more at ease? Hanul was also feeling uncomfortable in her heart. After the accident, the hospital Hanul worked at before found out the truth. In order to save the hospital's reputation, the hospital decided to hire Hanul as an assistant professor. Hanul's feelings were very complicated. She felt that if she hadn't met the senior at that time, the accident probably wouldn't have happened. The senior had died, but she had been promoted, which made Hanul very uncomfortable in her heart. But both she and Jong-woo chose to hide their feelings. They had barely gotten through those painful days. They didn't want to cause more trouble for each other. The whole Hanul family planned to return to their hometown this weekend to visit someone. Jong-woo also wanted to go. On the day of departure, Jong-woo was sandwiched between Hanul's mother and uncle. The atmosphere was extremely awkward, and unexpectedly the car shook. Hanul's mother accidentally spilled wine all over Jong-woo. In the trunk of the car was Hanul's younger brother's clothes. Jong-woo put them on and discovered that they were the clothes he wore when practicing swordplay. After getting back in the car, to make everyone happier, Hanul's uncle turned on some music and sang with Hanul's mother. Unexpectedly, Hanul's uncle's movement was too strong, and he accidentally hit Jong-woo's eyes. Unexpectedly, the car tire exploded right after that. Jong-woo was in his martial arts uniform and the dust of the countryside. His face showed no regrets about life. By sunset, the car was fixed. Jong-woo bought a new set of clothes to wear, and only then did he learn that the Hanul family came here not to visit a friend, but to Pord, visiting the grave of Hanul's father. After that, Jong-woo and the Hanul family went to a restaurant. Hanul and his family happily ate and drank. This was the best way to remember their loved ones. Jong-woo felt very touched, and he could also imagine the sadness of Hanul's family, but he always remembered what the senior did for him. He was always sad about the senior's death. Jong-woo would never forget the day of his university graduation. His classmates all had their parents by their side, and he was alone among the bustling crowd. And that day, the only person who came to his graduation ceremony was the senior. Jong-woo was extremely happy that day. It was not until the end that Jong-woo knew that not long before the graduation ceremony, the senior's father had passed away. Jong-woo was extremely sad. He could not imagine how the senior was feeling at that time. At the graduation ceremony, the senior gave him the black suit as promised. Speaking of this, Jong-woo could not help but sit and cry beside Hanul's mother. He could not resent the senior, nor could he easily forgive the senior. Such a conflicting mood made him not know what to do. Hanul's mother told Jong-woo not to try to forget the good things the senior had done, nor to forget the pain he had caused. For now, let's just do it like this first. Gradually, the pain and sadness will pass with time. With Hanul's mother's comfort, Jong-woo's mood became better. Hanul's uncle knew that Hanul had been recruited as an assistant professor. Hanul also told her uncle about her complicated feelings. Hanul's uncle comforted her to return to her rightful place while she still had time to do the things she wanted to do before. Her uncle's words helped Hanul feel less pressured. The sky exploded with fireworks. Hanul and Jong-woo watched the scenery together. The two confided in each other. Jong-woo told Hanul that he had thought it over. He decided that if he should hate, he would hate. If he could forgive, he would forgive. He didn't want to torture himself anymore. Hanul also told him about her being recruited as an assistant professor. Jong-woo was truly happy for Hanul. This was what she deserved. With Jong-woo cheering her on, Hanul felt even more relieved. The fireworks were almost over, but the good things that night were all engraved in the memories of the two. The next day, Hanul put on her makeup to go to work. As for Jong-woo, every night to wait for Hanul to come home, he ran to Hanul's noodle shop to learn how to wrap dumplings. Now Jong-woo has become a professional dumpling wrapper. That night, Jong-woo heard that Hanul would be coming home early, and his face turned red. Suddenly, Hanul called and said there was the emergency in hospital. Jong-woo angrily slammed the noodle on the table and crushed the dumpling skin. Although Jong-woo said he was fine, he lied down on the bed as soon as he got home. To divert his attention, Jong-woo decided to focus on his work, but when he looked at his thesis, Jong-woo looked at his phone every second. He didn't write a single word of his thesis all night. Jong-woo sharpened his pen and he polished the refrigerator, but he couldn't put anything in it. He drew a heart shape on the glass cleaner. Jong-woo saw it in the attic when he went out early in the morning. Hanul had hung up the bag she bought from the convenience store, which contained the chocolates Jong-woo liked. Hanul had gone to a meeting again. Jong-woo missed her so much. Unable to control his longing, Jong-woo ran to the hospital to find Hanul. He also said that in order to be with Hanul, he had made an important decision. Hanul's mother sent him a photo from their trip. Inside was a photo of Jong-woo wearing a very interesting martial arts outfit. Hanul wanted to use it as her profile picture, so the two of them happily fought over the phone. At night, in the room of a man and a woman, Hanul approached Jong-woo. Jong-woo thought it was a passionate kiss, but Hanul only kissed him on the cheek. Jong-woo took advantage of the moment when Hanul was concentrating on her work to pull out a box. Inside was the ring he had prepared for Hanul. After the truth about the medical incident was clarified, Jong-woo received 2 billion won in compensation. As soon as he received the money, Jong-woo went to the jewelry store to buy a ring. He wanted to give Hanul happiness for the rest of his life. Jong-woo's friend thought that the two of them hadn't been dating for long, so it was too early to give a ring. Jong-woo thought about it and thought it made sense, so he went to the jewelry store again to buy a bracelet. bracelet. Knowing that Jong-woo was going to give Han-ol a bracelet, Han-ol's younger brother immediately said that Han-ol didn't like bracelets because she had to undergo surgery and felt it was too cumbersome. Listening to Han-ol's younger brother's advice, Jong-woo ran to the jewelry store for the third time. This time, he bought a necklace. When he got home in the evening, Jong-woo laid out the gifts he had bought. From the ring, to the bracelet, to the necklace, the 3 gifts were enough, but he was still very hesitant about where and when to give the gift. The story of Jong-woo receiving $2 billion in compensation became a news story. Han-ol's younger brother realized that Jong-woo was a rich man, so he took out all the food in the house to feed Jong-woo. Then he asked Jong-woo for pocket money. Han-ol pulled her younger brother out. She also told Jong-woo that if her younger brother asked him for pocket money, he shouldn't give it to her younger brother. According to Han-ol, Jong-woo had suffered a lot, and now he had a hard time getting out of trouble, so she didn't want anyone to bother Jong-woo anymore. After work, the two of them went to Han-ol's friend to drink. Han-ol's friend was very upset. Han-ol also thought about Jong-woo's story, so the two girls drank one after another until they were drunk. By the time Jong-woo went to buy water, the two of them had already collapsed onto the table from being drunk. Jong-woo carried Han-ol onto the car and took her home. But when Han-ol lay on the bed, she was drunk and called her mother, who was right in front of her. She lied that she had to work tonight and couldn't go home. After hanging up, Han-ol vaguely called Jong-woo and said that she had lied to her mother and that she wanted to sleep at Jong-woo's house tonight. Han-ol's mother was stunned when she heard that. Then she looked at Jong-woo with a deep gaze. Jong-woo went to meet 2 high school friends, one of whom was the one who apologized to Jong-woo a few days ago. Seeing Jong-woo arrive, the other one also apologized in front of him. The 3 old friends sat down to drink. Seeing Jong-woo's expression, a high school friend asked Jong-woo if he was dating Han-ol. Jong-woo was about to admit it when another friend shouted that it was impossible. How could Jong-woo love his high school rival? Unless Jong-woo was crazy. Unexpectedly, as soon as this friend finished speaking, Han-ol suddenly sat down next to Jong-woo. Finally, Jong-woo openly admitted his love relationship with Han-ol. The 2 high school friends both found it unbelievable that the 2 rivals who once fought each other had now become lovers. While chatting, Jong-woo was surprised to learn that the high school friend who had once criticized Han-ol had once pursued Han-ol. The high school friend also said that not only him, but many boys from his old school had pursued Han-ol. Only now did Jong-woo know that Han-ol was so popular with boys. On the way back, Jong-woo's tone was a bit jealous, but unexpectedly, Han-ol did not hesitate to tell Jong-woo that she had actually had a relationship. That time, the person was the neighbor boy who had pursued Han-ol for exactly 3 years. She dated him only because that boy had put a coat on Han-ol. Although that relationship only lasted for 5 hours, Jong-woo still acted very jealous. He even asked to take off his coat for Han-ol. He did not want Han-ol to be taken away by someone else. After returning home, Jong-woo was still jealous. Han-ol suggested that Jong-woo move. Now that Jong-woo had money, he should move to a more comfortable house, but Jong-woo didn't want to leave. Here, he could see Han-ol every day and live with Han-ol's family like family. Hearing this, Han-ol asked Jong-woo if he wanted to be her family. What Han-ol said made it clear that she was proposing. Because Jong-woo was so surprised, he carelessly cut into finger. Han-ol took out a band-aid from the drawer. Inside were all jewelry boxes. Those were the gifts Jong-woo wanted to give her, but he didn't know how to give them. Unexpectedly, Han-ol said that she only wanted to be lover like Jong-woo's family. Jong-woo was worried and immediately put the ring he bought on Han-ol. He hoped that Han-ol would not only be his girlfriend in the future, but also his closest relative. Han-ol's mother this moment to call. Han-ol was about to pick up the phone when Jong-woo pulled her back, telling her to lie that she had to work overtime with her mother. After saying that, Jong-woo pulled Han-ol onto the bed and the two kissed passionately. After Han-ol was proposed to by Jong-woo, she did not respond for a long time. Several days passed and Han-ol still had not accepted his proposal. Han-ol explained that Jong-woo proposed so hastily that night, she had no time to react. Speaking of this, the two of them recalled that night and they started to feel shy. Jong-woo told his friend. Unexpectedly, his friend suspected that Han-ol did not agree. The friend felt that Jong-woo was only suitable for love, not for marriage. But Han-ol actually didn't think so. In order to give Jong-woo an answer, Han-ol booked a high-class restaurant. She wanted to seriously discuss her and Jong-woo's wedding. Unexpectedly, the head of the department suddenly called Han-ol and said that there was an opportunity to go to America to study. The head of the department hoped that Han-ol could go. Han-ol was a bit hesitant. Going to America to study would take half a year, which meant that she would have to be away from Jong-woo for half a year. Han-ol told Jong-woo about this. Jong-woo seemed very comfortable. He said that he didn't want to stop Han-ol from pursuing her dream. He would try to support Han-ol's career. Han-ol noticed that although Jong-woo said he supported Han-ol, the hand holding the knife to cut the beef had already cut it all into a plate. He even mistook the flower vase next to him for a glass of water. It was obvious that Jong-woo's approval was just to comfort Han-ol. Han-ol would be leaving next month. Jong-woo was in a bad mood every day. Jong-woo's friend told something. There was a nurse who had been working in his clinic for a long time. The reason was that she wanted to travel around the world while she was still young to pursue her dream. Although Jong-woo's friend was very reluctant to let the employee leave, Jongwoo's friend still agreed to let the nurse quit. Because in the nurse's eyes, Jongwoo's friends saw her passion. There were some things that could be done now, then it would be too late. Jongwoo's friend didn't want to let someone else's dreams slip away because of his selfishness. These words made Jongwoo think a lot, and finally he made a decision. Jongwoo didn't want to hinder Hanul's future because of him. Jongwoo told her his thoughts. Hanul was encouraged and no longer hesitated. In the end, she accepted the department head's proposal to go abroad. The departure time was approaching. Jongwoo reluctantly hugged Hanul. Hanul also thought that the day of separation was coming, but unexpectedly, the head of the department changed his mind and said that the opportunity to go abroad originally belonged to another professor. At first, that professor refused, but now accepted. After the head of the department considered, he decided to let Hanul suffer. The head of the department told her to go next time if she had the chance. The trip to America was canceled. Now the two of them no longer had to be in a long-distance relationship. They could spend more time completing the things they wanted to do. Jongwoo personally made a Korean meal for Hanul. The whole process did not require Hanul's help. Hanul tasted the food that Jongwoo made himself. She was surprised that Jongwoo could cook so well. The two of them laughed and talked to each other. Their happy daily life made them live in warmth every day. Hanul's state had changed a lot. She went to see a psychiatrist again. Hanul filled out a form to check for depression. The doctors congratulated her on overcoming her past pain and returning to a normal state. Hanul said goodbye to the doctor. The moment they accepted treatment, it showed that the patients would gradually get better. Getting better does not mean trying to be happy, but bravely admitting that you are unhappy, facing that unhappiness and failure, calmly accepting it, waiting for the day you get better. Hanul got better and better. Jongwoo bought a new car and opened his own clinic. The two of them sat in the clinic, imagining their happy life in the future. Hanul was deeply moved when she saw that Jongwoo was able to start over. Jongwoo thanked her for accompanying him. Hanul gave him the strength to be more courageous. The two talked. Jongwoo said that he still hadn't seen the sunrise with Hanul. Both of them felt regretful, so they went on a trip right after that. The two hugged each other and went to the beach to watch the sunrise. Jongwoo watched the sunrise. He asked Hanul for an answer. Because Hanul hadn't answered his proposal yet, Hanul said that they should get married. Jongwoo was not satisfied with this answer without subject. He asked Hanul to answer back. Hanul shyly refused. The two held hands and ran on the beach. They hugged each other, enjoying this sweet moment. The movie ended here. Thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye and see you again in the next videos.